You just finished dinner. You're full. Your stomach has nothing left to give. And yet somehow, somewhere in the back of your mind, a small voice is already asking about dessert. You know you don't need it. You know you're not actually hungry. But the craving doesn't care what you know. It's older than knowing. It's older than you. Most people assume this is a modern weakness, a flaw picked up from too many vending machines and too much advertising. But the real answer is far stranger. Your craving for sugar isn't a malfunction at all. It's a message from deep inside your evolutionary past, one that made perfect sense for hundreds of thousands of years and only recently stopped fitting the world you live in. To understand it, you have to go back. Not decades, not centuries, millions of years, to a time before supermarkets, before agriculture, before fire itself was fully mastered. Back then, calories were not abundant. They were rare, scattered, and often hidden behind danger. A piece of ripe fruit hanging from a tree wasn't just food. It was a jackpot, and your ancestors' brains were built to recognize that jackpot instantly. Sweetness, to the ancient human brain, meant something very specific. It meant safety and energy in one signal. Ripe fruit is rarely poisonous. Rotten or unripe fruit tends to taste bitter or sour, a built-in warning system. Sweetness became a shortcut for this will not kill you, and it'll fuel you. Anthropologist Nathaniel Dominy has studied how human taste receptor genes evolved alongside diet, showing that our sensitivity to sugar and starch is written directly into our biology, shaped by what our ancestors needed to survive. Here's the part that feels strange today. There was no such thing as too much sugar back then. It simply didn't exist in concentrated form. The most sugar a person could find in a single day might be a few pieces of fruit in a lucky season. There was no reward system in your brain designed to say, stop, that's enough, because in the wild, that ceiling was never tested. Your ancestors could gorge on ripe fruit for days and still not come close to what a single can of soda delivers in one sitting. So why does your brain react so strongly? Dopamine. When you eat something sweet, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical involved in motivation, reward, and reinforcement. Researcher Nicole Avena has spent years studying how sugar activates these same reward pathways, showing that intensely sweet, calorie-dense food can trigger responses in the brain that resemble other powerful rewards. This wasn't a design flaw. For a species constantly balancing on the edge of starvation, a brain that lit up for sugar was a brain that survived. Then something changed everything. Fire. Cooking. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that the invention of cooking didn't just make food safer, it made food more calorie-dense and easier to digest, freeing up energy that once went toward digestion and redirecting it toward brain growth. Cooking transformed tough, fibrous plants and meat into something the body could break down far more efficiently. It was one of the biggest calorie upgrades in human history, and it primed your ancestors' bodies to expect more concentrated energy more often. But even cooked food couldn't compare to what came next. Agriculture brought grains. Trade brought sugarcane and honey in larger quantities. And within the last 2 centuries, industrial food processing did something evolution never had time to prepare for. It took sugar out of its natural, fiber-wrapped, slow-digesting form and turned it into something pure, fast, and endlessly available. Your brain still runs the ancient software. Sweet equals safe, sweet equals energy, sweet equals seek more. But the environment feeding that software changed overnight, at least on an evolutionary timescale. Think about what that means. Your brain hasn't had enough time, not nearly enough, to update its wiring for a world where sugar sits in every aisle of every store, available in unlimited quantities, at any hour. 99% of human evolutionary history took place in a world of scarcity. You are living, right now, in the first sliver of time where scarcity is gone, but the craving remains exactly as strong. Is that unfair? Maybe, but it isn't a personal failure. It's a mismatch between an ancient survival tool and a completely different world. Your ancestors who felt intense cravings for something sweet and calorie-rich were the ones who took the opportunity when it appeared, because it might not appear again for weeks. Those cravings kept their bodies fueled through lean seasons, harsh winters, and long migrations. The ones who didn't feel that pull as strongly simply had less energy in reserve when it mattered most. Over time, the strong cravings won. Consider how this plays out in a body that never expected abundance. Your liver, pancreas, and metabolism evolved to handle sugar arriving in small, infrequent bursts, wrapped in fiber that slows down the absorption. A piece of fruit releases its sugar gradually. A glass of fruit juice or candy bar releases it almost instantly, flooding the bloodstream in a way nothing in the ancestral environment ever did. Your body isn't failing to cope with modern sugar. It's coping with something it was never given the blueprint for. There's another layer here too. Stress changes cravings. When your ancestors faced danger or long periods without food, the bodies pushed them toward dense energy the moment it became available. Today, stress rarely means a physical threat. It means a deadline, an argument, a sleepless night. But your body still responds the same ancient way, nudging you towards sugar as if you were about to trek for miles in search of the next meal. The trigger changed. The response didn't. So the next time you feel that pull towards something sweet after a meal you didn't need, remember what's actually happening. It isn't weakness. It's an ancient survival signal firing exactly as it was built to, in a world that no longer resembles the one it was built for. Your ancestors would have chased that same craving through fields and forests, grateful for the chance. You just have to walk to your kitchen. So tonight, when you reach for something sweet after dinner, you're not giving in to a flaw. You're listening to a voice that helped your ancestors survive winters, migrations, and famine. The craving isn't broken. The world around it just changed.